Good morning. My name is John Orfatelli, and I'm here with Kara Lee to talk about the Vote Yes Local Law Number 1, Protecting Water Quality, Working Farms, and Natural Areas campaign. It's on the referendum, and we're going to give you a brief outline of what it is and what it means to the community. I've been the chair of the Town Historic Preservation Commission for 15 years, and I'm also a realtor.
Hello, I'll introduce myself as well. My name is Kara Lee, as John has already said, and I'm a 25-year resident of New Paltz. I've served on a variety of commissions in town, mostly the Clean Water Open Space Protection Commission. I'm retired, and previous to my retirement, I worked for the Nature Conservancy. And so we're really happy to have this opportunity to tell you about what's going to be on your ballot as a New Paltz voter in this election season. And we want to make sure that you're aware of this opportunity and are prepared to vote. So a little bit of background first is that this proposal flows from something called the Hudson Valley Community Preservation Act, which allows communities to create dedicated funds for protecting natural resources. In order to qualify for this, you have to have a community preservation plan, and New Paltz has recently developed and completed that plan. And this enables the community to acquire properties or rights of properties by conservation easements, working with willing landowners. And the source of revenue for this fund is a local real estate transfer tax, which we'll talk about in some more detail. But I want to first talk a little bit about the plan and say that this is a science-based plan that includes really extensive information about the natural resources in our town. It's based on geospatial data, which means it's all presented in maps. So these are the kinds of resources that have been evaluated in our town, starting with, as you can see, water, agriculture, natural areas and habitat, as well as our historic resources. And these maps can be combined and overlaid so that we can look at all the parcels in the town and see where these resources fall on the landscape. What we found is that we had over 1,500 parcels that had priority resources, and depending on how many attributes were on each parcel, they were given a score. And the scores ranged from 1 to 23. So this is a very useful tool to help us prioritize eligible parcels for conservation and also for planning purposes under a community preservation program. So the law defines the kinds of projects that can be done with the fund. And you can see that it includes many different things. I would point to, in particular, open space, protection of wetlands, wildlife areas or habitats, again, historic properties, but many other kinds of habitats and areas that we would be interested in protecting in New Paltz. 10% of the fund can be used for stewardship of properties that are protected with the fund. So that means monitoring and making sure that there's proper access and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, the fund is really going to not impact at all the property taxes of residents in New Paltz. It's a real estate transfer tax that's paid one time by the buyer, and there's a $245,000 exemption, and that exemption's based on the median market value of properties in Ulster County. The tax of 1.5% was determined by evaluating various revenue responses to that, to different percentages based on that exemption. We project that we should get about $180,000 in revenue annually that would go to the Community Preservation Fund.
John, I would just add that the law says that the real estate transfer tax can be a maximum of 2%. And in New Paltz, we chose to go lower than that at 1.5.
Yeah, good point, Kara. The key takeaways now that we want to emphasize is that, again, the real estate transfer tax is going to be a sustainable source of revenue for open space and historic preservation in New Paltz, and it's going to benefit the whole community. Residents of New Paltz will not experience a property tax. That's very important. The exemption will benefit buyers at the low end, first-time home buyers, and that's an important aspect, that $245,000 exemption. The program will protect the qualities that attract buyers to New Paltz. They come to New Paltz with wanting to invest in this wonderful place and what we have, and this is going to help protect those qualities. The land protection aspect is voluntary with willing landowners. So there was an experience with this already. The town of Red Hook in Dutchess County has had a community preservation fund in place for 10 years. A number of real estate transactions, the number have been higher every year since it was adopted. So that reinforces the idea that there's no impact to the market of real estate. And Red Hook, through this plan that they have accumulated $2.4 million over 10 years and have protected 1,800 acres of farmland and open space. So it's been a very effective tool for them.
So this is the proposition that is on your ballot. The proposal was supported unanimously by our town board, and it's the only proposition on the ballot. It's local law number 1, and you should look for it on the back of your ballot. So remember to flip your ballot over to vote yes on local law number 1.
Thank you, Carrie. Now, what we're going to do is show you a very brief presentation. This is a clip from a video that was created by the Village of New Paltz Historic Preservation Commission. Yes, we have actually a town commission and a village commission. So this commission was, a grant was secured from the state Historic Preservation Office, and they created a nice video. This is just a segment of that video, and it really just highlights the importance of preservation and why it's important to us.
I know of no other place in America where you can cross a bridge and go from farmland to town village.
It always feels to me like you've arrived somewhere.
One of the things that attracted us to New Paltz as a village was that it was eclectic. There's so many idiosyncrasies to a house that's old. They're charming, and that's what I love about an old house.
Our historic properties are a resource that we cannot get back once they're gone. So it's vital that we take care of them.
There's a famous saying by William Faulkner that the past isn't dead, it isn't even past. And I think that's really true in communities. One of the secrets that you need to uncover in order to do successful planning is, what has the past of this community been like? And the extent to which that's apparent is not only good from the perspective of a professional planner, but it also helps the citizens and community members maintain an awareness of where they've been.
You know, another important part of why history is relevant to today and why we should care about these preservation efforts is, if you think about New Paltz, it's one of the first refugee communities in the country, and it's one of the only surviving refugee communities in the country.
I think the reality is that we all respond to the built environment in which we live. West of town, you have essentially unbroken farmland and forest land. Up the hill, you have a college with early 20th century buildings around a historic quad, mostly very well preserved. Down the hill, you have the regionally and nationally important resource of historic Huguenot Street. And in the middle of it all, you have a vibrant residential and commercial core. It's a really successful and enduring walkable downtown.
The heart of environmentalism is preserving your resources. Historic preservation literally is about preserving the resources that we have.
The idea that historic preservation is compatible with good economic development is something that I believe in wholeheartedly. You know, valuable, unique assets, and protecting and preserving them just makes a great deal of long-term economic sense. We're never going to be able to get this stuff back, so protecting it now and building on it, that's the direction we should be headed in from a planning perspective.
Looking backwards is as important as looking forwards in any community planning. Main streets certainly evolved organically in the past. One of the reasons I think it's really important to preserve the streetscapes that we have and the neighborhoods that we have is that they remind us of our heritage. We want to be considerate of the history as it's manifested in our neighborhoods, in the downtowns that we have, and in the particular architecture. We always want to be mindful of what that is and in some cases be extremely sensitive and respectful to it.
It makes the community more resilient in the face of change. If they've understood the changes they've been through in the past, it suddenly becomes much more conceivable and possible to go through and survive changes that are being presented for the future.
Well, thank you for participating in this video or helping us to understand more about the community and participate in the election.
Yep, thanks everybody. If you're interested in more information, you can go to our website, voteyesnewpaltz.com, and learn more about what you've heard about today.
Thank you.